Good morning, my friends. How are you? So glad to be back here with you today. And we continue our conversation on everyday immortality. And today I'm going to speak about how, if you're anchored to the human matrix, then you can always live in flow. You can live in grace. You can live in what is referred to as the state of grace or support of nature or anything that is called good luck or synchronicity or being at the right place at the right time or God's grace. So, of course, I've spoken about this many times as synchronicity. And synchronicity is the nature of existence. Today, science is identifying a lot of mathematical basis for what is called the existence of a non-local universe. And we know that at the fundamental level, the universe is non-local. So yesterday I showed you a article from the New Scientist, the cover story, which says, "Is the universe conscious?" And the fact is that this is a story about the latest fad in the science of consciousness, which is referred to as panpsychism. It tries to put together everything from mathematics to cosmology to everything to basically express the idea that in the deeper reality, everything is entangled with everything else. So, entanglement has now become a pretty popular phrase, and we can see that the entanglement is a fundamental reality. It's also called superposition, quantum entanglement, non-local correlation, and it exists at the most fundamental levels of creation. It exists at the most fundamental levels of creation. Particles, force fields, everything seems to be in entanglement. Strong, weak interactions all exist as superpositions in the fundamental ground of existence. But when we look at our own life, we look at our own existence, we will also see that our existence is entangled at the source, the human matrix. Let's call our existence the human matrix at the source. And the human matrix at the source is very unique. When you consider every department of human life, what do you see? You see that human life is the totality which embraces our total existence as well. So if we look at how our consciousness has given us experience, you'll see that consciousness is the basis of our biology. It's organizing and running the body right this moment. Consciousness is also the basis of our survival instincts. It's the basis of the five senses. Without consciousness, the five senses are inactive. Consciousness is the basis of what we call our psychology, our moods, our knowing, our self-reflection, our self-inquiry, our emotions. Also, consciousness is the basis of rational thought. And rational thought is a linear cause-effect type of thinking that comes from reductionist observations. So we look at what are called empirical facts, which are snapshots of experience, and then we construct in our mind an explanation. Consciousness also responsible for social bonds, for language, for creativity, for curiosity, for discovery, for invention, and ultimately, consciousness is self-awareness. In its most fundamental level, it is self-awareness. And then that self is what is modifying itself into all experiences. And all these experiences are entangled. So biology, survival, perception, psychology, creativity, discovery, moods, emotions, rational thoughts, social interactions, personal relationships, friendships, creativity, language, curiosity, discovery, invention, self-awareness, all simultaneously coexisting. And yet the rational mind cannot simultaneously compute everything. The rational mind can only compute one thing at a time. So if you want to experience what we call synchronicity, if you want to experience what we call good luck, if you want to experience the acausal, non-local interrelatedness at the heart of existence, then you have to go beyond rational thought. You have to go beyond the secret passages, the dark alleys, the ghost-filled attics of the rational mind. And when you do that, you actually encounter something magnificent. You encounter the experience that everything is correlated with everything else, and there's no cause-effect relationships. Everything is acausally, without cause, connected and correlated with everything. And this acausal connection or correlation or synchronicity is only around one thing, and that one thing is meaning. And what is the meaning of? It's the meaning of existence. The meaning of existence is that at the heart of existence, at the source of existence, the nature of existence, everything is instantly correlated, unmitigated, unmediated, instantaneous, and spontaneous. And that's the basis of what we call morphogenesis and differentiation, how one cell becomes 50 trillion cells. How does a human body think thoughts, play a piano, kill germs, remove toxins, make a baby all at the same time, while correlating its activity with the movement of stars and planets, because stars and planets and the whole cosmos is one symphony. One symphony. That's why we call it the universe. Universe. We are instantly correlated with everything that's happening in the total universe. So when we are anchored in what I'm today calling the matrix or the source, then we spontaneously experience fulfillment of desire. We spontaneously have intuition, which is a form of intelligence that is contextual, relational, holistic, without cause-effect relationships. Intuition is a form of intelligence that eavesdrops on the internal dialogue of the entire universe. And so its computing is far superior than anything in the rational mind. If you can anchor yourself to the matrix, to the source, go beyond the mind, to the state of fundamental being, which is, I've said so many times, I am. I am before I am Deepak Chopra. I am before I am this thought. I am before this perception. I am before this interpretation. I am before this memory. I am before this image. I am before this insight. I am before this desire. So I am fundamental level of existence is automatically already synchronistic. So great spiritual traditions have called this the state of grace, the favor of God, the state of flow, the state of transcendence, the state of spontaneous knowingness, the state of spontaneous correct choice making, the state of spontaneous divine emotions like empathy, compassion, love, joy, equanimity, and evolution. So what happens when we are anchored in this state? What happens when we are anchored in this state is we spontaneously enjoy being in the present moment. We spontaneously enjoy right now. We accept everything without judgment. We feel supported by nature. Okay, nature is the universe. Nature is fundamental reality. Nature is pure consciousness. Nature is, if you want to use the word, God, Ein Sof, Allah, Brahman. We feel there's spontaneous support from the universe because the universe is our own projection. At this level, spontaneously self-regulating, spontaneously self-correcting, spontaneously evolving, and spontaneously expressing its creativity and moving towards truth, goodness, beauty, harmony, love, and joy, and equanimity, and loss of the fear of death. So when we experience being anchored in the matrix, not only do we feel supported by nature, but life goes smoothly without obstacles and without pushback. Your desires come true with little or no effort. Ichha Shakti, it's called. Ichha is desire, Shakti, the power of desire at a subtle level. Subtle desire spontaneously organizes its own fulfillment. So at this level, you also accept yourself without judgment, and you accept everybody else without judgment, knowing that they are doing the best they can from their state of awareness. So this is where we are, and we can actually start to cultivate the presence of our own being always also in sleep. We can cultivate the presence of being in dreams. We can cultivate the presence of being in regular waking activity. And as long as we are cultivating this presence of being or experience, then we are also spontaneously fulfilling our desires just with the wisp, a little wisp of intention. That wisp of intention in Sanskrit is known as sankalpa. So sankalpa is subtle intention that organizes its own fulfillment. Now, having said this, I also want to make this a little practical. And of course, I've said that the best way to make this practical is through yoga. And there is the yoga of self-reflection. There's the yoga of transcendence. There's the yoga of mindful awareness. There's the yoga of love. The royal yoga is, of course, transcendence. Okay, the royal yoga is all the practices that we associate with dharana, focused awareness, dhyan, which is meditation, and samadhi, which is transcendence. Okay, but then there is the yoga of love, which is called bhakti yoga, the yoga of understanding that takes us beyond the rational mind, jnana yoga. Jnana yoga is the yoga of understanding, the yoga of knowingness, that knowingness is more fundamental than what you know, because what you know depends on your ability to sense. And how do you sense? In pure awareness, you sense just by being. But then you can sense by feeling, you can sense by reflecting, you can sense by thinking, you can sense by perceiving, you can sense by any experience, the five senses, understanding, cognition, and also emotions, and also sensing by choosing different options in every moment of now, knowing that your range of options is infinite. in every moment. Between every thought, little space, infinite choices. Between every emotion, infinite emotions. Between every perception, infinite perceptions. So, freedom is less than a thought away. Freedom is between two perceptions, between two objects, between two thoughts, between two emotions, between two images, between two words. There is freedom. And that freedom is referred to as moksha. So this is the basis, actually, of fundamental existence. Not doing anything, but just allowing the universe to evolve through you. Allowing the universe to evolve through you. A less sense of doership. I do what needs to be done because I spontaneously know what needs to be done just by being. And then from there, spontaneously, the feeling that we call love. And from there, spontaneously, the knowing that we know call I am beyond I am this thought or this emotion or this perception. From there, spontaneous correct speech. And from there, spontaneous correct action. Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Gyan Shakti all come together. And Shakti is the divine feminine that represents beauty and intuition and nurturing and affection and tenderness. They all come together as Satyam, truth, Shivam, pure consciousness, Sundaram, ultimate beauty. Beauty, truth, love all come together as the fundamental nature of our existence. At this level, all happens spontaneously. Okay, so the Zen saying, as you may know it, flowers in spring, autumn leaves, winter snow, summer breeze. If you're fully awake, this is the right season. Whatever the season is, it is the right season. So what I'd like to do today is actually conclude with a beautiful poem from Tagore. As you know, Meta-Human was inspired. My book Meta-Human was inspired, as was You Are the Universe, by a conversation between Einstein and Tagore. Einstein being a naive realist and Tagore being in the tradition of Plato, the original idealist in the West. And Tagore, being an idealist, knew that the formless is fundamental, and form and phenomena are modified expressions of that spontaneously emerge from the formless. Einstein, on the other hand, felt that the world was observer independent. He's known to have made the famous remark, the moon would still be there if no one was looking at it. But in my view, Einstein was wrong, because he believed in what we today call naive realism. The physical world exists exactly as it is presented to the five human senses, not to any other species. The physical world is physical, independent of our perceptual experience of it. The physical world would continue to exist even if nobody was experiencing it. It's also based on subject-object split, and all this naive realism takes matter as fundamental reality, which of course nobody has ever proved that it is fundamental reality. We don't have a direct experience of any substance called matter. We only experience our perceptions. I've said that so many times, but it's always worth repeating. That most fundamental level of existence, at the level of being, all happens by itself. But you have to surrender to your own being, which is actually the basis of the prayer, Thy will be done. Thy will be done not to an external God, but to the divine intelligence present in you right now. So to end today's exchange, for some reason I'm not seeing your text messages again. Having struggled with my technology today, I'll fix it tomorrow. But to end today's conversation, I'd like to read a poem from Tagore. On many an idle day have I grieved over lost time, but time is never lost. My Lord is my divine self. You have taken every moment of my life in your own hands, my divine self. Hidden in the heart of things, you are nourishing seeds into sprouts, buds into blossoms, and ripening fruits into fruitfulness. I was tired and sleeping on my idle bed, and imagined all work had ceased. In the morning, I woke up and found my garden full of wonders of flowers. And then a new poem that follows that, a different poem. Time is endless in your hands, my Lord, my divine self. There is no one to count your minutes. Days and nights pass, and ages bloom and fade like flowers. You know how to wait. Your centuries follow each other, perfecting a small wild flower. And we have no time to lose, and having no time, we must scramble for our chances. We are too poor to be late. And so it is that time goes by, while I give it to every querulous man who claims it, and your altar is empty of all offerings to the last. At the end of the day, I hasten in fear, lest your gate be shut. But I find that yet there is time. You know why there's time? Because fundamental reality is timeless. And the fundamental you is immortal. Going back to the Vedanta, space begins when we identify with a body. Time begins when we identify with the mind. And causation appears when we lose memory of infinity. I'll repeat that. Space begins when you identify with the body. Time begins when you identify with the mind. And then cause-effect, karma, begins when you impose limitations on your infinite self. In fact, there is no cause and effect. There's only synchronicity. There's only interdependent co-arising. There's only non-local correlation. There's only entanglement. There's only superposition. There's only synchronicity. There's only harmony. And that is the truth. Truth beyond the mind. Truth just in the presence of being. So today's mantra, today's closing thought, is a phrase from the Bhagavad Gita. Yogast kuru karmani. Yogastha kuru karmani. Yogastha means established in yoga, established in the source, established in Ein Sof, established in Brahman, anchored in the matrix. Yogastha kuru karmani. From there, perform action. But it's not just physical action, it's subtle action. The action of a conscious thought, the action of a conscious interpretation of a perception, the act of a conscious choice, the act of a conscious word, speech. All this ultimately leading to metacognition, being aware of every experience as it happens in the present moment without judging it, just as a silent witness. And at the same time, being aware of the choices we make spontaneously in every moment. When this awareness wakes up in waking, dreaming, and sleeping, it's called Turiya Tatta, beyond Turiya. Turiya is transcendental consciousness, soul consciousness. Turiya Tatta, cosmic. To be in the world and not of it at the same time. That leads to Bhagavad Chetna, divine consciousness. You speak directly to the divine in you without even using words. You eavesdrop on the cosmic mind and you communicate also directly with the cosmic mind without the use of words. Cosmic and divine consciousness, Bhagavad Chetna, Turiya Tata, and ultimately Brahmi Chetna. You are totally anchored in the source, and every flicker of intention spontaneously organizes its own fulfillment. Yogastha Kuru Karmani. Be a metahuman now, instantly, before your next thought. Take care and God bless.